Victor Hata here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. Coup in Honduras. That's what we're talking about right now with Dr. Juan Almendares, who is a Honduran medical doctor, award-winning human rights activist, president of the Honduran Peace Committee, and Greg Grandin, professor of Latin American history at NYU, New York University. His latest book is called Fordlandia, The Rise and Fall of Henry Ford's Forgotten Jungle City. Who is behind this, Greg?
Well, I think it's fairly clearly who's behind it is the military, sectors of the military, if not the whole military, and sectors of the old political establishment. You see the changes in South America, and they're doing their best to make sure they don't arrive in Central America. And
the connection to the School of the Americas at Fort Benning, Georgia?
Well, a number of the leaders of the Honduran military were trained in the School of the Americas, both during the Cold War and after at the end of the Cold War.
Like who?
Well, Romeo Vasquez, the head of the armed forces, who Zelaya removed from office just a few days ago because he refused to support the referendum, non-binding referendum. He's obviously behind it, as well as the head of the Navy and other high-ranking officials. The Honduran military is effectively a subsidiary of the United States government. Honduras as a whole, if any Latin American country is fully owned by the United States, it's Honduras. Its economy is wholly based on trade, foreign aid, and remittances. So if the U.S. is opposed to this coup going forward, it won't go forward. Zelaya will return if the United States, if Obama and Hillary Clinton are sincere in their statements about returning Zelaya to power.
And what do you think about their responses? There was concern when it first happened, the ouster, that the language wasn't strong enough.
Yeah. At first, the language was very tepid. Obama expressed concern for events, and Clinton also issued a statement that was a little bit better but not very strong. This is another example of the United States following the lead of South America and Latin America as a whole. Latin America came out very strongly against this coup, all of the leaders. I mean, you hear in the mainstream media it's always Chavez and Fidel Castro condemning it, but what you don't hear is that Lula in Brazil, Bachelet in Chile, almost every Latin American leader and government condemned this coup in uncertain terms, and the United States is playing catch-up, aligning itself.
Interesting today, President Obama, who met with Bachelet last week of Chile in Washington, is meeting today with Alvaro Uribe of Colombia in Washington. Dr. Juan Almendares, do you agree with Professor Grandin's assessment of who is behind this coup?
Well, I would say that we have an army who has been really repressive and torture since the 1980s, and most of these military have been trained by the School of America. I agree with that, and I think that it's terrible because they have been guardians of the multinational business from the United States or from other countries, and this is about the old school of the army of Honduras who have links with very powerful people, very rich, wealthy people who have kept the poverty in the country, who have kept the lack of freedom of the speech, and I think that this is very important. But that's what I say, to have a concrete action. They usually have been in the history obeying to the U.S. policy, but now there have been some statements against this coup d'etat by the ambassador of the United States, Honduras, by President Obama, and we think that it's important that we want to concrete action. They usually obey the orders of U.S. policy. So behind this actually are the old line of military who are really with the mind of torture, perpetration of the violation of human rights of the Honduran people.
Interesting when looking at past coups and the parallel being made to 1973, the September 11th, 73 coup against Allende. When President Obama met with Michelle Bachelet, a reporter asked if he wanted to apologize for CIA involvement in the Chilean elections. Obama said last week, "I'm interested in going forward, not looking back. I think the United States has been an enormous force for good in the world. I think there have been times we've made mistakes, but I think what is important is looking at what our policies are today and what my administration intends to do in cooperating with the region, so he refused to outright apologize, Professor Grandin.
Yeah, and he has an opportunity to look forward. He could bring the full power of the United States to the restoration of Zelaya to Honduras. And the referent, I think it's obviously important to remember all of the series of coups during the Cold War, but there was a more recent coup that I think that this actually bears striking similarity to, and that's the kidnapping of Aristide, Jean-Bertrand Aristide in Haiti in 2004, and this is in many ways parallels that. And the question is, will Obama actually use the U.S. to restore Zelaya?
In fact, Dr. Juan Almendares, same language used. President Aristide said he was kidnapped, and then the opposition forces, the coup leader, said he had signed a resignation letter, the same thing they're saying about Zelaya, which he is contesting.
Well, I think this is a lie. I hear the voice of the Minister of Presidency and also the voice of President Zelaya from Costa Rica to say that he didn't say that. I mean, this is a false statement, and that's the way we don't believe it. Nobody believes in this country, particularly thousands of people don't believe that. And also they have been clarified. So,
well, we will continue to follow the story. I want to thank you for being with us, Dr. Juan Almendares, speaking to us from the Honduran capital of Tegucigalpa, where a coup has just occurred. The ouster of the democratically elected President Zelaya, who is now in Nicaragua meeting with other Latin American leaders. Thank you for being with us, head of the Honduran Peace Commission, and Greg Grandin, professor of Latin American history at New York University.